Welcome back, everyone. Today, let's step into the shoes of a soldier under Alexander the Great. Before we relax with the story, please like and subscribe, but only if you truly enjoy what I'm doing. Also, let me know how your day has been down in the comments. I really want to hear from you. I was a soldier in Alexander the Great's army. Part 1. The long road beneath the Asian Sunday. I was a soldier. I don't remember the exact year I joined the army. I only know it was cold back then. I was just old enough to hold a spear and young enough to believe glory was real. From my homeland of Macedonia, I followed the marching relentlessly. We walked through lands whose names I could barely pronounce. Alexander, whom they called the son of Zeus, was always ahead of us, one step ahead, with eyes that never seemed to rest. We were shadows beneath the sun. Every step told a story, but no one spoke. We kept it in our chests, along with the dust, the sweat, and the dreams that never had time to grow. The road of burning sand. Some days I didn't know where I was. The ground beneath my feet was no longer Europe. The air smelled of foreign gods. We passed through empty valleys, then arrived at cities made of clay and gold. The sun burned so hard, even my shadow disappeared. Eyes stung, lips cracked, feet blistered. Still, I marched because Alexander never stopped. At night, I'd lie on the sand, staring upward. The stars in the east were brighter than the ones back home. More of them. Farther away, colder somehow. Around the fire, my dinner was hard bread and dried figs. Sometimes, if we were lucky after a battle, we had salted meat, a luxury worth more than gold to our bellies. We ate in silence. The fire crackled softly. Its orange glow danced across sunburned faces. Some fell asleep with food still in hand. Others whispered little prayers into the dark. I miss my mother. She had once knitted a winter shirt for me the last winter before I left. I hadn't taken it with me. Only its smell and the memory of her calling my name each morning. Alexander, the man who never tired. I had seen him ride his horse up jagged cliffs as if it were flat ground. His armor shimmered like a flame in the late sun. He wasn't just a general. He was a storm, a lion, a fire that marched in the shape of a man. People said Alexander didn't sleep, he only dreamed of battle. I believed that because in his eyes, there was always somewhere else to conquer. But sometimes, I passed a command tent late at night, and there, inside, a single light would still be burning. A figure sitting alone, writing forever. May thread in a dream too large to hold. I don't know how long I'll survive, but I do know this. Even if I die far from home, I've seen a world far greater than my village. I am but a grain of sand in the desert. But Alexander, he gathered us and turned us into a storm. And I keep marching. Part 2. Before Gaugamela, life in the camp. The camp was not a place of rest. It was a place of waiting. Waiting for orders, waiting for sleep, waiting for battle. Our tents were made of rough cloth, weathered by sandstorms, wind, and time. They flapped at night like restless wings. No walls, no doors, just fabric between us and the cold air of the east. The ground was hard. My blanket was thinner than the armor I wore by day. And yet, it was the only home I had left. What did we eat? Sometimes I wonder how my body still moved. Our food was meager. Stale bread, goat cheese that had grown tough, boiled lentils, if we were lucky, and olives always too salty. Water had to be carried in from miles away, warm by the time it touched our lips. But when you're thirsty, even muddy water tastes like wine. Some soldiers stole extra portions. Some offered to trade weapons for fruit. We all did what we had to do. At night, I cleaned my spear. Not because I was ordered to, but because it gave me something to do. The iron blade has seen too many faces. Some I still remembered. Others I had tried to forget. I whispered small apologies to it, as if it were alive, as if it could forgive me. We didn't talk about the killing, not openly, but it hung in the air like the smell of iron. You couldn't wash it off. The night before Gaugamela, that night, there was no laughter, no song, only the quiet hum of breath and fear. Alexander walked among us, not on a horse, not with a guard, just him, a shadow in a lion's cloak, pausing at each fire. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. When he looked at you, you felt like you mattered, like you were part of something eternal. Sleep that night was different. My dreams were broken. In one, I was home again, my little sister running toward me with flowers. In another, I was lying in a field of bodies, and I couldn't find my own. I awoke to the sound of armor being strapped on. The war drums would beat soon, and when they did, there would be no turning back. Part 3. The Battle of Gaugamela. Fire in the dust. It started with silence. Before the horns, before the thunder, there was silence. Tens of thousands stood still, horses shifting nervously, shields catching the first rays of sun. The Persians were more than we had ever seen, more men than the stars. Elephants, chariots with blades. I could barely breathe. My mouth was dry, my hands shaking. Then Alexander raised his arm, and the world exploded. I don't remember how long I fought. Time disappeared. There was only movement. Strike, block, move, scream. The sun disappeared behind clouds of dust. Blood made the earth slick. I slipped once and barely dodged a blade aimed for my neck. I stabbed back. I don't know who it was, friend or foe. In the chaos, even the gods closed their eyes. And yet, we won. Somehow, we broke their lines. Alexander cut through them like a god of war. I saw him ride straight at Darius himself. The great king fled, and with him, the heart of Persia. I collapsed on the battlefield, my armor soaked in blood that wasn't mine. The sun was setting, and all I could hear was breathing, breathing, everywhere. Victory doesn't feel like joy. It feels like silence, like standing on a mountain of ghosts and knowing you're still alive. But why? Why me? I had no answer. I only knew the march would continue. Alexander had tasted the world, and it would never be enough. Part 4. Into Babylon, the city of gods. I had never seen a place like Babylon. Even from miles away, its towers reached up like fingers grasping at the heavens. The gates were blue as the ocean, decorated with lions and bulls, symbols of kings long dead. We entered not as enemies, but as victors. People threw flowers, sang in languages I didn't understand, offered us dates, wine, gold. For the first time, I felt like more than a soldier. I felt like a god. The feast, they fed us dishes I couldn't name. Roasted birds stuffed with nuts and honey. Flatbreads soft as clouds. Spices that burned, then soothed. I drank wine until the world swayed. Laughed until my sides ached. Some men fell in love that night. Others found peace in music, in women, in the illusion that war was over. But deep inside, I knew this was a pause, not an end. Alexander in Babylon. He walked the halls of Nebuchadnezzar's palace, like he had always belonged there. He spoke with priests, visited temples, offered sacrifices. Some whispered he was now a god, that he had become one of them. Others feared it. But I just watched him. He looked tired. I visited a temple, not for religion, for silence. Inside, it was cool and dark. A priest handed me incense. I lit it, unsure why. And for a moment, I felt my heart beat slower. I thought of my father. He had died before I left. Never knew I joined the army. I think he would have understood. Part 5, further east, beyond the edge of the map. I didn't know where we were anymore. Mountains became giants. Rivers turned black with depth. The people we met had never heard our language. Some wore robes of silk. Others hunted with tigers. We were no longer soldiers. We were explorers. Lost, but still marching. Alexander spoke of reaching the end of the world. But I wondered, what would he do when he got there? We lost many. Some to disease. Some to blades. Some just walked away. There were whispers of rebellion, of exhaustion, of homes too far to return to. But Alexander pressed on. He didn't look back. Not even once. I started to forget home. What did my village look like? Did my mother still wait for me? I tried to remember the color of her eyes, but even that was fading. I had lived too long in the dust. I had become part of the road. And then he stopped. At the edge of the world, with no more empires to conquer, Alexander turned to us and said nothing, because there was nothing left to say. Part 6, the final camp, when the lion sleeps. He fell ill in Babylon. No enemy could kill him. No army could break him, but fever did. He burned for days, his breath shallow, eyes vacant. We stood outside his tent, each of us waiting for the sun to set forever. I saw him once more. A servant let me in. Just for a moment. Alexander looked small, like a child lost in a storm. He tried to speak. I held his hand, and for the first time, I saw not a god, but a man. Just a man trying to hold on to the light. When he died, there was no thunder, no fire from the sky, just stillness, like the world had paused to take a breath. And now, I walk alone. I returned home, but it was not home anymore. Too many ghosts walked beside me. Sometimes, I still dream of the deserts, the stars, the sound of drums. Sometimes, I hear his voice calling us forward into history, into legend, and I march again.